It's a Friday fitness session. We're going to bounce between some submerged full stroke front crawl and some surface work, which is a little bit slower, a little bit more technical. I'll talk you all the way through it, but let's get going since we had a few technical problems getting started. All right. So I've got my stopwatch. I'll do all the timings. You just need to follow me. Here we go. 4 minutes of full stroke front crawl, please, on the long chords, on your long full stroke front crawl chords, whether you're horizontal or whether you are vertical. I like to keep the chords in a vertical position so I can get the full body position involved. Hopefully you can see what my hands are doing. You won't be able to see the hips. I might push the computer back in a moment, but just use this as your warm-up, nice and steady. Look to the symmetry of the stroke, elbows popping out wide, keeping the hand pulling central down the backbone. Keep the head nice and still. Don't worry about breathing yet. We can talk about that later. But let's just go through the structure of the session. We've got 7 5-minute blocks of work, 7 5-minute blocks of work, okay? And we're going to alternate between different periods of this submerged movement with the hands under the body. If you've got your cord set up horizontally and your upper body is in a horizontal position, don't worry about trying to do a surface recovery with the cord. It's very, with that tension, it's not the smoothest, not the easiest. We're going to do some surface work to round off each 5-minute block. So this first one is 4 minutes of submerged full stroke front crawl and then a 1-minute surface full stroke front crawl movement. And it's not as difficult as it sounds, whether you've got your tins of beans or whether you've got your light dumbbells. We're just going to ditch the cords, pick up the light dumbbells. I'm going to bend the hips a little bit, pivot at the hips a little bit, just so you can sort of see what the full stroke front crawl is looking like. But I am going to go and add in some surface recovery. So a different group of muscles get used. Obviously, we do want to give those a little workout. But with the long chords, it's all about the strength through the lats and the triceps, setting up the catch position. Obviously, what happens under is important. But we should also be wary of or build up some endurance so that we can keep recovering, especially if you're racing in a wetsuit. As thin as they are, and they are made particularly well these days, as thin as they are, you've still got that layer of neoprene around the shoulders and you still want some strength to be able to pull you through, especially with those longer 3.8K Ironman swims. So you want that ability to not necessarily struggle against the wetsuit, but you certainly need that little bit of strength in depth to keep the recovery going. Because as soon as that fatigues and you get a little bit lower and wider with your recovery, then the hips start to throw around. So it's all about staying narrow, okay? Good work. Coming up on 3 minutes, 1 minute to go, 1 minute to go with the submerged front crawl pulling position, okay? Keep the hands central, finish past the hips. If you're in a vertical standing position, get the hips involved. They can wiggle from side to side and they will get clear as the hand pulls through. Maybe you can see a little bit more of that now. Not quite. Let me just push that back a fraction. Maybe we'll see that better now. Okay, the hips will roll out of the way as I finish at the back of the stroke. Good work, everyone. Last 30 seconds. I'm going to come down again just because that tension is not quite as much as I'd like. There we go. Now, obviously, we're still getting warmed up. You will be working out the best tension for you for today. This is not about ripping your banister out of its sockets or whatever, or pulling, door frames down. It's about endurance. So it's a steady movement, repeated for over half an hour, not too much aggression. We're just trying to remember what the front crawl position looks like. Okay, relax there. Okay, pick up your dumbbells, pick up your tins of beans, come through, maybe just pivot slightly over, and then we're going to swim with our surface recovery now. I'm switching from side to side. I like the classic high elbow position. Just got 1 minute, okay, just to put the back through a different range of movements, get the recovery in. For now, just keep the head still and work on that catch position, that elbow popping out wide. Okay, I've just been told the internet's a little bit unstable. Apologies if you're losing any of this. okay? But you'll soon be able to spot the difference between the surface and the submerge. And that's the only two movements tonight, okay? Only two movements. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We'll talk about some other arm styles, recovery in a moment or on the next round, okay? Whatever you're doing, just keep those elbows above the surface. Let's go back to our full stroke, please. Back to our full stroke. 3:30, 3 minutes 30. So you possibly spotted the pattern by now. So we started with a 4 and a 1. Now we've got a 3:30 on the submerged, and then we've got 1:30 on the surface, okay? Then we're gonna go 3 and 2, then it's gonna be even, 2:30 and 2:30. Then it's gonna come down to a 3 and a 2 again, 3:30 and a 1:30, and then the 7th round, 35 minutes, will be 4 and 1, 4 and 1. Good work, everyone. Coming up on the first minute. So, back to the long chords, get your full stroke, working nicely under the water, keep the head still. Don't worry about taking the arms over the top, we've just done that. So now the focus is on the lats pulling through, the triceps finishing at the back of the stroke. Keep the head still for now, we'll talk about breathing a little bit later on as usual, okay? That's just over 1 minute gone, 2.5 to go, 2.5 to go. Not too much tension yet, still getting warmed up. To do 35 minutes of this sort of movement, we don't need much tension through the cord, so maybe take a step forwards. If you're feeling strong, maybe take a step backwards, or for me, I go up and down the stairs depending on how it's working out. Whatever you're doing, don't sacrifice your form, your technique, just to sort of get a little bit more strength involved. Swimming is not really about huge amounts of strength. It's the ability to just keep accurately repeating the same movements over and over again, trying not to get fatigued through the triceps and lack the rotation so things shorten. Then we get a struggle to get the breath in. It's all about keeping that pull long, keeping the pull central, sending the water backwards down towards the feet, pulling with the palm and with the forearm, and keeping the body streamlined. And if while we're doing these dry land workouts, if you could get that involved, get that embedded, that would be a major breakthrough. 1 minute to go, 1 minute to go on this submerged movement, please, swimmers. Okay, I might just start to add a little breathing, okay, to the side. This is a great opportunity to work on the bilateral position every third stroke. Training is good. Training is good for mixing the breathing pattern up. Not necessarily do you need to do it on race day. Breathing every second will probably work just fine, especially on shorter distances, as you are nudging the heart rate up and needing more air coming in. But it is good to be able to switch sides, whether it's 2 every second to the left or every second to the right. Come training, I would work on every third or some format, some kind of mixture. Maybe it's 2 to the left, and then you pick that up, swap across, and then it's 2 to the right. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, fantastic. Okay, that's our 3:30 done. Pick up the dumbbells again, pick up your tins of beans. Here we go with full stroke front crawl with a surface recovery now. Try to keep it narrow. Keep switching the shoulders from side to side, extend forwards, pop the elbow out wide. Remember, we're pulling with the palm and with the forearm, okay? And that comes from making the pivot point the elbow, not the wrist, not the shoulder. Don't push down with a straight arm, trying to help your breathing. That is going to be a waste of a stroke. Okay, last minute before we go back to our submerged work. Again, if you want to practice some breathing, the timing of the breath is important. I try to sort of start the head movement as the hand travels under. If you leave it too long, you can get kind of bunged up and caught under, and then things sweep across, and that's when we see a lot of the forearm getting used as a break. Okay, so maybe take this to start the breathing movement of the head turning a fraction earlier. As the hand travels under the body, should be in motion as it comes under the eyes in terms of turning to the side. Last 15 seconds, last 15 seconds. Hopefully the shoulders are getting warmed up a little bit now. Last 10, 9, 8. Keep this steady, keep this slow. The light dumbbells are doing some work, just fatiguing you through, and the combination of the two movements going to have a great effect. Okay, back to the long chords, back to the long chords. 10 minutes of work done. If you're feeling good, take another step backwards. If you're not so good, a little bit tired, take the step forwards. We've still got a good amount of time to go. Good work, everyone. So, in terms of the surface recovery, triathlon and swimming in open water, obviously there's a little bit of debate. The classic high elbow front crawl position has been adopted by long distance swimmers because as that hand exits at the hip and you lead with the elbow, keeping the elbow high, it's a chance for some of the muscles to relax, take the pressure off a little bit. Now, unfortunately, if the water's choppy and that hand is sort of dragging along the side of the body, you can pick up a little bit of drag, some resistance. Okay, so people have sort of adopted that and sort of kept things a little bit high, a little bit wider. What we don't want is low and wide, because as soon as that hand travels low and wide, often, unless you've got exceptional core stability and a great deal of training, low and wide will generally mean a leg pops out to counterbalance that, okay? So whether you go high, classic high elbow and narrow, or whether you go straight arm and you still want to be narrow, you still want to stay within this channel, the moment you go wide, that's when things create drag as you kick legs out to stabilize, okay? So halfway through this first block of submerged front crawl, and then maybe you want to try some other options when it comes to the surface swim on the 2 minutes. Maybe you will, and to me, I think being an adaptable swimmer, depending on the conditions, depending on what's the body of water in front of you, that is a great way to be, or to be prepared. So if you've got great conditions and the water, you know, is absolutely crystal clear, mirror flat, no wind, no waves, no ripples, maybe you do go classic high elbow. Okay, it's very economical. The movements lend themselves well to keeping you straight. If it's a little bit rougher, if you want to swim at your maximum speed, you'll want to keep the hands completely at 180 to each other, completely opposite, and that straight arm will be very effective. Okay, but it is a bit more demanding. I'm just checking the clock behind me. I don't take anything off the wall. Okay, it is demanding because now the fingertips through to the shoulder, there's tension all the way through, and it's also quite tricky to set the catch position as that straight arm comes down, the momentum is there, okay, and it's just a little bit harder to get that in, to set up the catch. In 3, 2, 1, good stuff. Okay, let's go back to our dumbbells. Okay, I'm going to stick with the classic high elbow. We've got 2 minutes. I'm going to mix this up a little bit. Just make sure I'm not in a position to hit anything. So we can go straight arm with the dumbbells. Okay, it's good that that's taking the shoulders through a different range of movement. As you see, that momentum travels down, and again, it's very hard to then turn that over into your catch position. So if you're just starting out and you've not really perfected the catch position, this high elbow, it's very natural to keep that in position, travel through, and then set that up again. So depending on where you are on your swimming journey, wherever your swimming technique is, might just play a role in what kind of technique you want to swim with. 1 more minute, please. 1 more minute of the surface recovery, with the surface recovery. Trying to keep the elbows high, keep narrow, keep the hands under the body. It's okay for the elbows to go wide. If you're going to add the breathing in, remember, follow the hand. As soon as the hand is under the eyes, we should be in motion, Turning to the side, nice small movement. Some days you will keep your lower goggle submerged. Other days you'll have to take a few more degrees, a little bit higher with the turn, because the conditions will be a little bit rougher. Whatever it is, you know, be able to modify the technique to suit the conditions, you'll be the best swimmer you can be. That's why here at Swim for Trial, we don't really have a strict methodology. We don't have a strict style that some of the swim schools have. I like to look at the swimmer in front of me and then work out what's going to be best depending on fitness, depending on what distance we're doing, and so on. In 3, 2, 1, fantastic. Back on the long course. Okay, shoulders might be a little bit tired now. This is the 230. This is the 230. This one is balanced, okay? Maybe take a step forwards if you need a little breather. Take the tension off. We're not halfway yet. We will be shortly. I can feel this in my shoulders now. It's good. But just work now on the middle part of the stroke. Work on the back of the stroke. Make sure you're finishing. Reach for the knees. Don't just get to the hips and exit early. Remember, the hips will roll as the full body engages its rotation. And the hips will roll out of the way, allowing you to pull the hand under the body a lot more central for a lot longer than you might have imagined. Often when we film swimmers, as they've only recently learned about the body's, the way it rotates, and historically they've kept quite flat, you can see how the hand sweeps around that hip at the finish, at the back of the stroke. It actually goes around, and that's going to put tension and throw you around, have you swim from side to side. So keep the hand central. Imagine you're swimming on top of that black line in an empty lane. The black line's beneath you, your backbone is over it, and just keep your hands in between. That wouldn't be a bad thing. If you've got the same trajectory, the same angles at the elbow, the same speed, everything between the left and the right arm is working together nicely, you should be kept moving along when it comes to the open water in a nice straight alignment, okay? It's when one arm sort of helps you breathing and pushes down straight and the other arm pulls you forwards, you get that imbalance, and it's impossible. You can't swim straight with the two arms doing different things. So last 30 seconds. If your shoulders are starting to feel it, don't pick up the light dumbbells, don't pick up the tins of beans, don't worry. Just focus on the technique, keep it accurate, keep it narrow, whether you're going high elbow or classic straight arm. Just don't let the rotation be lost and sort of swim with that low, wide recovery, sort of looking like the butterfly. And because then the momentum builds and you sweep across and then it goes out the window. I'm just going to tuck those out of the way for a second. 3, 2, 1. Let's get back onto the full stroke with the surface recovery. Here we go. So high elbow or straight arm. I've got those out of the way to help, actually hindered. Okay, you'll see a lot of sprinters swimming like this. It is very powerful. It is very fast. If the Olympics had been on this summer, in the 50 meters, the 100 meters, you've seen a lot of swimmers swimming like that. You know, it's a great way to keep the hands completely opposite each other. You get one hand anchoring in the water while the other hand is recovering. Never is there a moment where you're sort of stretched out. And it's not a great word, but it does kind of describe things. But you shouldn't be gliding along, okay? So it is powerful, it is strong. It is a little bit more demanding. It might be useful at the start of a stroke if you're being particularly competitive in a race and you want to get onto that first front pack. It might actually be helpful. But it's good to be able to calm that excitement down. And we do a lot of work in our fitness sessions. I'd like to refer to it as mid-race cruise, okay? You get that excitement of the aggressive start done, that speed work, and then it calms down, and you must get into your relaxed technique. I don't know if you can hear in my background, but Aiden's doing his exercises. That's my little boy. And he's not happy about this next block of work, perhaps. Last 35 seconds. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Keep narrow, keep the elbow high. Maybe take a little bit of a bigger circle through. Remember, the waves have just got up a little bit, and now we can't be as accurate as we were previously. Last 20 seconds, last 20 seconds. Good work, everyone. I mean, yeah, we've done some basic testing, but that comparison between the high elbow and the straight arm, most people found that, and their heart rates went up, found that a lot more demanding. 3, 2, 1, fantastic. That's the tricky one done. Now it gets a little bit easier. Back onto the long chords, please. If you need a moment, not a problem, take a drink, shake the arms out. Good work, everyone. Let's get straight back on it. Okay, 3 minutes, 3 minutes of submerged, 3 minutes of submerged front crawl. So I'm going to add some breathing into this position now. Again, as we mentioned, as the hand travels past the eyes, I'm going to be turning in to get that breath. I'm going to focus on breathing every third, just to keep things balanced. There's no magic about bilateral breathing. I mean, the textbooks make it out to be this amazing thing. It's the only answer. But all it really does, it will help your symmetry. It will help you from, producing too many, it basically interrupts the bad habits. Because if you only ever breathe to one side, there's a good chance this arm will start to sweep across as it recovers and the head swings across. When we all get tired, doesn't matter whether you're an Olympic finalist or just learning, we all get tired and the stroke breaks down to a degree. Obviously, the more we do it, the more we repeat good habits. Hopefully, it doesn't happen as often or as early as we'd like, but it always breaks down. And that's the interesting thing, why if you look through YouTube and there's some really good channels, the things like Flow Swim that follow sort of training methods of the Olympians. And you'll still see Olympic swimmers doing swim drills. And when we show these to people on our training camps and so on, people are curious, like, they swim really well. Well, they get tired and maybe they're not doing the drills in the same manner to learn how to perfect the stroke, but they're repairing, they're polishing, they're finessing a tired stroke. A little bit like a golfer would sort of have his swing looked at repeatedly over a period of time. Olympians, they get tired, the stroke breaks down, and they'll go back and do some drills. And there's some pretty basic drills. We've got a great piece of footage of some Olympians at Auburn University doing some body position, some extension drill. And that just always amazes people that, wow, they swim so fast. Why are they doing these basic movements? Good work, everyone. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. We've got the last of this 3-minute block of submerged. Probably get a bit tired now. We'll start the next round with a little bit of a diagnostic just to make sure all the elements of the technique are there. But for now, in 3, 2, 1, good job. Let's go back to our surface swimming. Surface with the surface recovery, please. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So we've hit the peak. We've hit the balance 230, 230. And now we're going to come down the other side. Now we're going to come down the other side. Now, Zoom is telling me there's only 10 minutes left. And we may run out at the end. Apologies, but you've got the idea in terms of the next swim will be the 3:30 and the 1:30 will be good for that. And then literally at the end, it's just going to be the 4 minutes and the 1 minute, just in case I get shut down in my prime. But that's kind of the end of the session. But hopefully we squeeze this in. We'll see. We'll see. There's a little bit of a technical problem. Obviously, 6 o'clock, everyone's hitting Netflix pretty hard, and the internet was a little bit lousy. Oh, just as I said that, it's telling me it's unstable right now. Hopefully you're all still there. Hopefully you're still working hard. We've got 45 seconds to go with this surface recovery. Remember to stay narrow. We're still popping the elbow wide, keeping the hand under the backbone, even though we've changed body position slightly, just so we can just bend into this a little bit more. Last 30 seconds, last 30 seconds. Add some breathing. Take it from side to side. If there's one thing that you're not happy about, and that is sort of breathing to both sides, if you could master that here on dry land, the head turn, get the rhythm right, every third wouldn't be bad. You can always go every 2 to one side, and then take your 3, and then take that 2 to the other side. That would be good. 3, 2, 1, fantastic. Back on the long chords, back on the long chords. Good work, everyone. So, I'd be amazed if we weren't tired by now. So, starting with the fingertips. If you've got a full paddle, it's even better. I've got these sort of grips where the knuckles can roll around. It's not ideal. Better than nothing though. So, but when I get to the top of my stroke and start to extend, I'm thinking about the fingertips to the elbow as one paddle, pivot from the elbow, turning that over so all of the palm and the forearm are pointing towards the feet, towards the wall I'm swimming away from. And that will send all that water backwards. I mean, we like to use that analogy, but it's not quite that simple. In fact, the more surface area you do turn over, and from the side view, hopefully you can see that, okay? The earlier you turn that over, the more that anchors, the harder that does become to pull through the water. So actually, as long as the body's nice and streamlined, you travel forwards. Now, it doesn't help if the legs are splaying, toes are pointed to the bottom of the pool, the back end is not streamlined. But if you can get a good streamlined position, then that, coupled with this strong anchoring effect of the fingertips to the elbow, turning over, you've probably heard of the early vertical forearm. That's exactly what that's doing. Opening up the surface area of the forearm, helping it anchor. And so you shoot forwards and over. It's not really about ripping the water backwards. Try to think of it in terms of running on a, you want to swim how you would run on the road. You want to anchor that hand, plant that foot out in front and travel beyond it, carry on over it, okay? You don't want, to drop the elbow, not involve the forearm, and have the hands slip under the body like the feet would on a treadmill, and absolutely give you no reward of moving forwards. Sometimes it's good, because it's liquid, we lose sight of that, but it is about pulling yourself down the water. It's not about just ripping at water. And sometimes, the more bubbles you create, it's all very exciting and feels fast and powerful. But actually, it doesn't always result in speed, or maybe a little bit, but it's hard to sustain, and it comes at a very high energy cost. Okay, so last 45 seconds, We're getting through this, ladies and gentlemen. Very good work so far. Keep the hands opposite, 180 degrees to each other. Obviously, when it comes to our full stroke frontal, we've got options on the timing, and we can slow things down, and we can kind of nearly catch it up and stretch through. But with the chords, it's better just to go keep them opposite. And then that way you're working the tricep at the back. The way the chords work, you want to keep that tension up at the front and pushing to the back. So 180 is a great position. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. We've got 90 seconds of front crawl with the surface. Okay. If the shoulders are just absolutely exhausted, go without, and maybe just sort of breathe a little bit of life into them by reversing that. Okay, reversing that movement, maybe just 30 seconds, a little bit of backstroke just to unwind. We did backstroke a couple of Fridays ago as a great counter movement to so much front crawl that we do as triathletes, as long distance open water swimmers. But it's a great way to unwind. Okay, so if you're struggling a bit, loosen them off and then get back on it, okay? 1 minute, please, 1 minute. We're nearly there. Adding in the breathing, 2 to the left, and then I'll take my 1, 2, 3 and get 2 in to the right. And again, you can make that 3 to the left, 3 to the right, doesn't matter, but at least you're mixing it up. You're stopping any bad habits from getting ingrained. You're stopping any bad habits creeping in. The symmetry is always good. Swimming loves symmetry. To stay moving forwards, it's so good if the left and the right can absolutely mirror image each other. Stay narrow, keep the profile small, keep the surface area down so you present the least amount of drag. In 5, 4, good work, we're nearly there. Excellent, 3, 2, 1, back onto the chords. Last one, everyone, last one. Here we go. 4 minutes, 4 minutes. 4 minutes, hopefully we get that and before I'm locked out and shut down. If not, I'll wish you well and have a good weekend. Hopefully the training's going well, whatever else you're getting done. Apologies for the start and the shaky internet. Maybe we'll change the time to a quieter time. I don't know if that will help. I mean, if you can't make this time, you can always catch up on YouTube and run through the session. I'll actually, in the sort of the comment section, I'll always post what the session was, and you can just watch and follow along if you do need that little bit of vocal encouragement. Okay, but they're always up on YouTube. Just have a little search for Swim for Try within YouTube. You should see our channel and these main sets and the drills that we do, especially on the Monday and the Wednesday, the single arm, the thumb catch drills, they're all useful. So if you can just keep this going for another 3 minutes, and then it's 1 minute of surface. Okay, I'm gonna go as long as I can. I think I've got a couple of minutes left. It's asking me to upgrade. But we'll do our best, we'll do our best. Good work, everyone, good work. So run that diagnostic. Now the arms are probably burning. Stay narrow, keep the hands pulling under the backbone. Don't go exiting early above the hips. Try to go past the hips. Remember the hips are moving to keep you at your longest, to keep you at your narrowest. Keep the head still unless you're going to add in some breathing. The head should be absolutely still unless you are turning to breathe or you are lifting to sight. Those are some great principles to stick to all the while. Okay, let's hopefully we can finish this off. Let me have a closer look. Less than a minute, less than a minute. You might lose me, ladies and gentlemen. We've got less than 2 minutes of full stroke, and then just give yourself a last final minute with the surface recovery. Monday, we'll be back on it with the technical session. And Wednesday, we throw in some rehab, prehab exercise to keep the shoulders healthy. Also some backstroke, just to unwind all of that front crawl. So hopefully Mondays and Wednesdays, you can join us. If not, they're on YouTube. It'll be great to see you. Okay, any feedback? I don't think we're going to get a chance to chat at the end, but by all means, send me an email. I'll be happy to take any comments on board. Any suggestions for new sessions would be appreciated. Okay, I've got a few seconds to go. Keep it going. 45 seconds, and then